Okay, is it recording?
I think so.
Yeah, it's recording.
Oh my
Okay.
god, that's so cool.
Oh my god, you guys. Okay. Hello. I am Ray, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hi, I am Anaya. Nice to meet you.
Yes, welcome to the Mildly Unstable podcast. And we were supposed to. It's 7:37 right now, and we were supposed to start at 7 o'clock, and it took me 37 minutes to figure out how to get more than one mic
Oh
to
my
record
God.
sound. That was a fucking nightmare. That was an absolute nightmare.
But you did it.
I did it, but I fucking hated it. That was terrible. Okay. So, we're just gonna, the Mildly Unstable podcast is basically, it's just a loose conversation about mental health, because that seemed like something that, like, not a lot of people are doing. Like, I feel like a lot of podcasts, when they talk about mental health, I'm gonna turn to you a little bit more. Hang on. Here we go. Hello.
Hi.
I feel like a lot of podcasts that talk about mental health, a lot of the time it's very analytical, and it's very like, oh, well, this journal and this podcast and this article said this, and I just thought it would be a good idea to just have a conversation about it, because you don't have a lot of podcasts that are just like a casual conversation. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like
Especially for teenagers.
especially for teenagers, because I found podcasts that are like psychologists talking about like studies they've done, and it's like, I don't want to talk about a study, I just want to hear what you have to say about my anxiety. Like, I just want to know. So today we were going to talk a little bit about not anxiety, I'm on the topic of anxiety, do you see that?
Yeah.
About mental health. And hello, hi there.
Hi.
There's hey. We're in the studio at the college we go to, and Sunday. And there's a radio show.
Represent.
There's a radio show happening in the studio next to us, so he just waved at us through the window.
Very friendly. Very friendly.
Very friendly. I think that's Trevor B. Powers.
I have no idea who that is.
He's the Trevor B. Powers show. He's the Trevor B. I always, well, because like when I have a radio show on Wednesday mornings here, called Rock the Dome, because one of the big things about Centenary University is they have a dome, like a big golden
dome
on one of our
everywhere.
buildings. It's like right smack in the middle of campus too.
Right.
It's like the most prominent thing. And I called my show Rock the Dome because I'm clever. And my dad was a marketing major, so I was like, I could do this. I could do this. I was like, let me do it. My dad is a marketing manager for a subsidiary of Valley Bank, because if you call them Valley National, you get punched. Because it's not Valley National anymore. But I'm going to lower the mic 3 because we're not using it. But yeah, so yeah, we're going to talk about mental health. And I just wanted to have a casual conversation because me and Anaya both have our own mental health problems. Are you okay with talking about that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what state your name and your diagnosis. No, I'm just kidding.
What are you here for?
Why are you here?
Well-
What's wrong with you? Let's talk about that.
Talk about why I'm so mildly unstable.
Oh, hey. Let's
Well,
name dropping.
So, Anaya here. I
Mhm.
suffer from bipolar and borderline traits.
Mm.
It is not fun, let me tell you. Depression, anxiety, and suicide ideation, all that fun stuff.
Isn't it great? Isn't it just awesome?
So amazing.
Yeah, I have bipolar 2, which is a form of bipolar that is not necessarily mood swings. It's a cross between this is how I was explained. This is how it was explained to me. If it's incorrect, I apologize. But my bipolar is mania and depression.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, do you ever get people who, when you say, oh, manic, they'll be like, whoa.
Right, they think
like
you're
they don't
automatically
know.
insane.
They think you're gonna like smash a wall or something, and there's
Right.
gonna be like a person-shaped hole in the wall. It's like, no. When I'm manic, I'm me. I'm just louder and happier, and that's literally it. Like, a lot of the time when I talk to people, and they're like, oh, you're manic? I'm like, yeah, but like, I'm just really happy and really excited. Like, mania has a really bad context to it sometimes,
does.
because people are like, oh, you're crazy, and it's like, not really. I just have, you know, when I'm manic, I'm just really happy and I'm loud. And some people have apparently taken that as aggression,
Right.
but I'm the kind of person where, like, I would never hurt anyone. So if I find it, like, I've met people who take it different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I've met people who talk about mania and they're like, oh, so you're just really excited. I'm like, yeah, that's literally it. But then there's people who are like, oh, you're dangerous. And it's like, I'm not.
That's how people look at me when I say, "Oh, I'm bipolar," or
Mhm.
"I suffer from borderline."
They're
Oh,
literally like, oh, you're crazy. And
yeah,
it's like, no.
and that's not it. It's just
It's not that I'm crazy. It's just
I
that
struggle.
I have a thing.
Right.
Yeah. Do you ever, how does your depression swings work? I call them down swings. How do your down swings work? Because
So
mine was always like months before I was I'm on medication called Latuda. And before I
I was
was,
on that.
were you really?
Mhm.
Hey, what? Before I was put on medication, my depression would be months of being depressed, 4 days of being manic, and then months of being depressed again.
See, with me, mine's just anger,
Oh, it was anger? Yeah, that
Sure.
bipolar is different for everyone.
dangerous anger,
Yeah, bipolar's different for everyone. So,
dangerous anger. But
Yeah.
there are days when I would be angry for weeks, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
I'll go weeks, and I'll just start crying every day,
yeah.
and then I'm silent. But when I'm silent, that's
Mhm.
not good.
That's no.
That's not good.
No.
Silence is never a good thing.
Silence is no bueno.
No bueno at all.
No bueno.
But I'm on
No bueno.
I'm on a medication called the Invega Sustenna.
Okay.
It's a shot, so it's not a
Oh.
pill.
Oh.
I get it every month.
Oh, my Lanta. I can't do shots. They fucking terrify me.
I'm not allowed to be on pills anymore.
They scare the shit out of me, man. I can't do it.
I can't do it either, but
I used
unfortunately-
to be really scared. Like when I was a kid, I had a doctor who was not very tolerant of me. But I would freak out when I had to get shots. So like to the point where I would run out of the room. Like I almost ran to the elevators once and I was like, nope. And then my parents had to grab me and be like, you need a flu shot. And in my head I was like, I was a little kid, but I was like, you know, I don't. I was like, I am not getting a flu shot. And my parents would like hold me down, and they had like nurses come and hold me down because I would like fight and scream. And then eventually like I got a shot as I got older, and I was like, this is nothing. I was like,
See?
why was I freaking out about this? And now I'm pretty good at getting shots, but I still, if I don't have to, I don't.
I always say the biggest mental health,
hmm
disagree with me if you need to,
hmm
is self-harm.
It's a big thing with
It's
mental
a big
health.
thing with mental health.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Big.
a lot of
thing with
people
mental health.
struggle with self-harm.
Personally, me, I struggle with it.
I'm
I'm clean now.
yeah, I'm
but I struggle
clean.
with it.
I'm clean. I experienced it a little bit in middle school and high school, but I was severely bullied
Yeah.
through most of my education. So I turned on myself and I was like, well, they're bullying me because I'm a bad person. And it was never like I know some people go really deep. It was always on the surface for me. I used to just like scratch, so it would be there for like 3 days and then it was gone. Like I never got really deep into it. You know what I mean?
Huh. I did. Do you see that?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. but-
Yeah. But you know, I always say that scars are just proof that you survived something. You know what I mean? Like if you have scars, that's nothing to be ashamed of.
I'm proud of mine.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. It sounds weird.
It's
when I
not
say
like
I'm
you're like,
glad
yeah, I
have
have
them.
scars. It's
It's
like,
not
no,
like,
like,
yeah.
I survived this. You know, I haven't
This
done
is
that.
what I went through.
It's been a good 3 years for me.
Next week makes a year for me.
Nice. Yeah, it's been a long time because when I was sophomore in high school, I was very depressed to a point. I was in a program for it because I was so depressed.
I was in another program.
I was in a
Most of high school.
hospitalization program. It was a PHP, which is a partial hospitalization program, which is like a day program. It was kind of like a daycare almost for mental health.
Pretty much.
I was out of school for a while and we did school, and it was so funny because when I got back to school, you could just hear the Trevor Power Show in the background. Hey Trevor, how you doing? But when I got back to school, I had been gone for a couple weeks, and I was in the outpatient, so that was after school.
Yeah.
So I would leave school early, which my Spanish teacher, who I had 9th period, was pissed. Oh my god, she like cornered me once, and she was like, why are you leaving my class early? And I told her, I was like, and I like panicked, so I told her, I was like, I'm in a program for my mental health. And she thought I was like bullshitting her. Like she literally thought I was lying. And I was like, no, like, I'm depressed. Yeah, but that was a big thing for me, was I stopped after I got out of that program because I saw things differently, and I saw that not everything was me being a terrible person. And then after a while, it just stopped being an option. You know what I mean? Like, I just stopped doing it. And it just, like, the thought doesn't even cross my mind anymore. Like, when I'm really upset, I don't even think about it. Snapchat? Who are you texting?
My mom goes, "We're here."
Oh, shit. Oh, boy.
It's okay. Okay.
Oh, fun. Okay. Did you tell her we started 37 minutes late? I'm sorry. I didn't even realize that your parents were picking you up tonight. I thought you
She
said you were going...
originally was going to come tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay.
She didn't tonight. She can wait.
Yeah.
She has all day.
Yeah, but mental, we got probably like another 45 minutes. We're gonna go for about an hour. But mental health is weird because it's different for everyone. Like, everyone experiences mental illness differently. You know what I mean?
I know when I experienced it, I've been bullied all my life. All my
Same.
life.
Yeah.
And
I'm plus sized, so I've been bullied for being fat most of my life. Did you have, like, a lot of the time with mental health, I had people that I would go to. You know what I mean? Like, in a support system.
At first, I didn't really have that. Because with
Yeah.
my parents, they're like, "Oh, just toughen up. You'll be okay."
Yeah, some people
Everyone-
have that attitude.
So I'm
I'll just
like,
fix the mic and you can hear me so much better.
and I'm just like, this is what I'm going through. I need help. And, they didn't really believe in it.
There we go. Yeah.
So I was alone.
Yeah.
So, how I did that is I would self-harm.
Yeah.
When I would be bullied in school, I would go in the bathroom. I would self-harm.
Yeah.
But then, like, you had a Spanish teacher. My Spanish teacher was the complete opposite. Went to her for everything.
Yeah. So in high school, so in middle school, my support system, we were going to talk about social media, but we can get into that later.
Yeah.
Support system for me in middle school was I had a really cool guidance counselor my last 2 years of middle school. My middle school was 6 through 8 because the elementary school was K through 5. So I remember in middle school, and I'm gonna name drop here because I love them. I can't think of good enough things to say. I had 3 teachers in middle school. I was in a club called Rock School, and we did covers of rock songs, and it was the greatest thing. Like, we did live performances. We were a cover band, and we called ourselves the KVB Project because the 3 teachers that were in charge of it were Mr. Klein, Mr. Bukowski, and Mr. Vigiletti. My 3 favorite people in that school were those teachers, and they were the greatest. Like, 6th grade was hard. And I remember, like, we called him Vigiletti. I was in Vig's classroom once, and he was like, "How you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm kind of being bullied." And he just sat and talked to me for a little while about it, and he was like, "Yeah, like, bullying, like, middle school sucks for everyone." And it made me feel better because I was like, "Oh, so I'm not alone." And then 7th grade happened, and I was being bullied really badly, and I was being what's considered conditioning. I was there were these girls that were getting me to apologize after everything I said, and so that's why I do that sometimes. But it, like, triggered something in me, and I have generalized anxiety disorder. So GAD would make me have panic attacks at random. So I had a week where I had a panic attack every day. And it was the worst. And I would have them randomly. And I found out that I had a lot of triggers in my middle school. And one of the triggers was recess, because I didn't have that many friends. I had one friend at the time who I was really close with, who I'm still friends with now, my friend Brianna. And I was having panic attacks. So I stopped going to recess, and I would sit in the library. And one day, Mr. Bukowski, he was my history teacher that year. Coolest history teacher ever. Like, the coolest. Like, I think at one point he said, "All right, kids, I'm gonna learn you a thing or two." And then he played "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel, which is just him, like, listing off things from, like, 40 years of history. And he was just the coolest. Like, when we were talking about, like, people during the war, he taught us, he played Fortunate Son by Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR, and he was talking about like how rich people got out of the draft, and how the people who weren't like fortunate sons had to fight in the war, and he played us that song, and I thought that was cool. But he came up to me in the library one day. He was like, I see you every day. Why don't you go out to recess? And I was straight up with him. I was like, I've been having anxiety attacks. He was like, oh. So he started coming to the library during recess and sit with me, and we would just bullshit and talk about life. And it was like my favorite thing because I had someone to talk to, and he was super supportive. He was like, yeah, like anxiety is really hard. He was just awesome about it. He was really cool. And then 8th grade, I had Mr. Klein. He was my 8th grade English teacher. Okay. The dude's insane. But he's the greatest person ever. Like, it's really funny because he used to do this thing where he talked like this, and he would call us hooligans. Hooligans. Silence. I'll destroy you. Like, this is stuff he used to say. And I have friends that we just impersonate him all the time. Are you guys being hooligans? Like, that's how he used to talk. Unironically, too. Like, he used to just talk like that. And, he used to do this thing where he would climb on top of the desks. And he would teach.
I had a teacher like that.
From up there. Did you ever see Dead Poets Society?
No.
Robin Williams' character in Dead Poets Society would do that. He would teach on top of the desk, and he would say, "Oh, Captain, my Captain." It was like a whole part of the movie, and it was like a thing. Like at the end of the movie, oh, I'm not going to reveal that. That's a spoiler. As if it's a new movie. But at the end, "Oh, Captain, my Captain" comes into play quite a bit. And so he climbed up on the desk, and he went, "Oh, Captain, my Captain." And I was like, my dude, I'm the only one that gets that reference. But he used to teach from up there, and he was really cool. I had a really hard time 8th grade because I was, what did I hit? Oh, we're good. I was struggling with self-identity because I was trying to figure out who I was, who I was friends with, who I liked, stuff like that, who I didn't like, stuff like that.
With that.
But it was interesting because I was having a hard time, and one day I went in to ask him a question during recess because I was still having panic attacks, and I didn't really know how to deal with them yet because I was so new to them, so I was just avoiding them at all costs. So I went into his room during recess one day, and I started talking to him. I asked him a question about a thing, and then I said, "Oh, by the way," I mentioned, I had known him for 3 years at that point because I had been in rock school since 6th grade. And he was always super cool. So I said, "Oh, by the way, I have an idea for a song we could do for rock school." And we talked about it. And then he was like, "Oh, do you want to get to recess?" And I was like, I kind of hate recess. And he was like, "Why?" And I explained. I was like, "Well, I've been having anxiety attacks. I've been having panic attacks since last year. And I have them a lot when I'm at recess." And he was like, "Oh, well, if you want, during your recess, you could just come hang out here." And I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, we could just come and chill." And we just hung out in his room and talked for a majority of the year. That guy knows a lot about me purely because I opened up to him a lot talking to him in 8th grade because I was having a hard time. I was untreated bipolar. I thought it was just normal depression, but it wasn't because I didn't know the difference between just being normal happy and having mania because I was so unhappy all the time. I thought the mania days were just me being fine. You know what I mean? So he was cool. And rock school I miss so much because it was just so much fun. And I listen to classic rock. That's one of my favorite genres.
Bring the Horizon. Favorite band.
That's good. Yeah.
Love that.
But in high school, my depression got really bad. And I ended up turning to my band director. And he called me out one night after a rehearsal. He was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he was like, "Okay, but you're literally not." And I was like, "You're right." I was like, "You're right. I'm not doing so great." And,
I'm fine. It's the worst 2 words you can say.
Yeah.
And you're not fine.
Yeah, you're literally, if a girl seems, or a boy, if they are moping around all the time and you say, "Hey, are you okay?" and they say, "I'm fine," they're not fine. They're literally not fine. And it was bad because I told him, I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he was like, "Bullshit." And I was like, "Uh-huh." But that was stressful for me. I remember that being really hard because I had no idea what I was doing. I hadn't really, my depression had gotten so much worse. And I was like, well, this is great. So he got me through it. And then sophomore year of high school was when my depression got really bad because I had trauma with a guy, and I'm not going to get into it, but, me too. But I had trauma with a guy, and that trauma can trigger bipolar disorder to get worse. And especially because it was untreated. So all of a sudden my world came crashing down around me, and Trevor just opened the door, and everything got worse. And I talk about this. I'm pretty open about it. I was definitely suicidal my sophomore year of high school for a good couple of months. And I told my band director, I was like, listen, like, I think I'm suicidal. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And I was sitting in his office for like an hour and a half just crying. And he was like trying to talk me out of it. And I was like, and he said, I think he was just saying everything in the book. I don't know if he meant it, but he said, suicide is selfish. And I looked him in the eye, said, I don't care, and just broke down crying. And I never really cried in front of him that much. And he was like, yeah, you need to get help. So I started talking to the student assistance coordinator at my school. Her name was Miss Mapp, and she was awesome. There were days I would just be in her office for like an hour and a half, just like hanging out. She had a thing for giraffes, so she would just have like stuffed giraffes all over her office. That was cool. Yeah, but I had such a strong support system in high school. It was insane, and I needed it because I was going through such a hard time. Yeah, there's a lot of people that were involved with it, but my band director saved my life because if I hadn't had him to tell, I don't know where I would have been, because I told him when it got really bad. And if I hadn't had him to tell, I don't know what would have happened. Like, probably something really bad. So he was a big person in high school. Like, I went to him for everything, like dating advice and family advice. Like, when I was having problems at home, like, my mom and I used to fight all the time, but we're super awesome now. But we used to fight because we're the same person, so we would butt heads all the time. So we used to fight all the time. But I would complain to him all the time. I'd be like, me and my mom got in this fight last night, and I feel like shit. And he would just be like, well, what was it about? And we were just like, and I was like, well, I didn't do this. And I'd be like, so why didn't you do that? And I was like, shut up, Baptiste. So yeah, I used to just talk to him about a lot of stuff. His office was a safe place for me. The band room itself was a safe place for me. How was your support system? Like, did you ever have somebody who was like a major support for you? Family, teachers?
When I went through my in high school, you know, it was really bad. I was in and out of hospitals. I was in and out of program. Recently during the summer, this summer past, I was back in the hospital. Yeah. So, you know.
Well, relapse is a part of recovery.
Yeah. So it was just like, you know, it's been really hard.
Yeah.
But I would say my biggest support, my dog.
Yeah. Is your dog an ESA? An emotional support animal? Or does she just act as one?
Just act as one.
She's not like...
Literally, when I'm crying, he will come over and lay right there.
Oh.
Literally lay right
I always
there.
wanted a dog, but my dad's allergic to dogs. And one of them was going to have to sleep in the shed. And if I got a dog, it was going to be my dad sleeping in the shed. Right. Like, screw that.
But as I got in my junior year was my worst. Freshman and junior year was horrible.
Yeah, freshman year is hard for everybody though, especially if you have mental illness, because you're like adjusting to a new school, so that's always hard. Change is always hard, especially for bipolar.
I was in a school with 3,000 other kids.
Did you go? Whoa, that's a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Did you go to a regional school?
No, I went to a public school in West Orange.
Really?
3 buildings collided. It was a big school.
Jeez, I don't even know how many people I went to school with. I don't think it was 3,000. It might have been. Oh, it might have been. No, I think it was less than that because we had 2 high schools in my town.
Before I went to my therapeutic school, there were 600 freshmen.
Wow. We had 300 in our graduating class.
Crazy.
My senior year.
Graduating high school, there was 13 of us.
Oh.
But no, I would say as I've gotten older, my parents became an amazing support because I guess they finally knew, you know, this is what my daughter is going through. This is some real shit. She's back in the hospital.
Yeah, this is real shit.
Oh my God, what am I going to do? I really need to step it up, you know?
This is legit.
So, you know, my parents became a great support. I definitely still go through it. I'm not even going to say I'm 100% good because I'm not. I'll be bullshitting you if I said I was good. I'm not. So, for sure. You know, I definitely do have my days where I don't come out my dorm, where I stay in there. I cry some nights, but then there are days where I'm like, oh my God, I want to be outside today. And there are days where I'm just like, you know, leave me the hell alone. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah. Now we both had roommates move out.
Yeah.
And I don't have any bad blood with my roommate. And I don't think you do either. But how do you like living on your own now? Do you like it, or is it harder for you now because you're by yourself?
Well, I definitely do like having the space.
Yeah, me too.
I definitely like having the space.
Yeah.
But it can get a little lonely sometimes, especially because you know, me and my roommate did hang out a lot.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It can be hard. For me, I actually realized I like having my own space, and I didn't know that, and it was really funny. I got a beanbag chair after she moved out, and it's like one of my favorite things I own, which is really funny. My top 3 favorite things that I own are my car, my fish mushu, and my beanbag chair. But I realized I liked having the space, and it was cool because I have an extra bed, and I have my 2 best friends who have come and visit a lot, so they've slept over.
Should be coming too.
Yeah, they've slept over a couple of times, and they have the extra bed. And my friend, one friend keeps a bunch of blankets in my closet, and my one friend keeps a cot in one of my drawers because when he sleeps over, he's sleeping on the floor, and I was like, well, don't do that. But yeah, so my 2 best friends from home have come to visit pretty often.
Yeah, my best friend, she'll come sometime. She'll actually be up here, I think, next Thursday, because homecoming is next Thursday. She really wants to do my hair. So
nice, yeah. I'm actually pretty excited for that.
I'm debating on going. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I bought a dress. I went on Torrid.com. I'm indifferent. I do it when I feel like it. But I bought a dress from Torrid, and I'm actually really excited because it was on sale. Torrid. It was on sale. Torrid's the best.
Torrid. Everything's from Torrid.
This I got from Torrid, the leggings, but this shirt it's a weird story. I went to this place called Historic Smithville, and it's in South Jersey. It's kind of close to Atlantic City. We're from New Jersey, but it's kind of close to Atlantic City, and it was crazy because they had this not craft fair, but they had a little village, and it was the weirdest thing. I there was a barn that had been made into a bed and breakfast, and it was crazy. I remember going there a couple of times, and I loved it. But there was this indie rock guy who had all these shirts, and I'm wearing a Led Zeppelin t-shirt right now, and I got it there. And it still fits me. And that makes me so happy. Because I got it a long time ago. And I was pretty happy about that. But
I like clothes.
Clothes are nice.
Clothes are great.
And you need to wear them.
Perfume is even better, though. When I'm depressed, I shop for perfume.
I've never been a perfume person. I just recently started enjoying scented hand sanitizer. And I have a little one from Bath & Body Works on my
Bath & Body Works is my store.
Yeah, I have a little one, the vanilla buttercream. I got it.
Sounds like it smells good.
It smells like a cupcake. It's pretty good. I think I have it. Where's my backpack? I have it in my backpack. Do you want some?
Maybe. We'll talk about it after.
Okay. Yeah, but it was wild. This Smithville place, it was really cool. But I want to talk about the topic that we were originally going to talk about now a half hour in. How do you think mental health shows up in social media? Because I'm part of this sub part of Twitter called Stan Twitter, which is just a lot of fan accounts who stan, which is just being a major fan of something. And I'm part of this Twitter, and I found that I've seen a lot of people tweet that they talk about their mental health on Twitter because family's not on Twitter, and they feel it's the only place they can talk about it.
Well, social media is definitely a place where, you know, if you can't talk to family, some people, I've had friends who, you know, go on Instagram or Snapchat saying, oh my God, I'm feeling like there's someone feeling the exact same way.
If you go on social media, you're going to find someone who's having a bad day just like you are.
Going through what you're going through. Yeah. Who's experiencing what you're experiencing. Are those your real nails? No, under them.
Oh my God, I was about to freak out.
My nails were long at this point.
Holy shit. Sorry. Yeah, but I met a lot of people who are like, I talk about my mental health on social media because it's the only place I can talk about it. And that makes me feel kind of sad because, like, I've had safe places to talk about my mental health. And it sucks that, like, they have to go on the internet and talk to strangers about it because they don't have anybody to talk to about it in their real life. Like, I know people who go on Twitter and they talk about, like, oh, you know, I have an eating disorder, or I have bipolar disorder, or I have BPD, or I have panic attacks. And they talk about it, and they're just like, and then I saw somebody tweet, they had a thread about, like, how their mental health was getting worse. Mm-hmm. And then they tweet, the end of the thread was, sorry to be such a downer on social media. This is the only place I can safely talk about this. And that sucks because, like, I have such a supportive family. Like, as soon as my family heard that I was struggling with my mental health, they were like, let's do what we need to do to fix this. You know what I mean? When I was being bullied, I've been in therapy since I was in third grade because I was being bullied. My parents have always had that attitude of, like, whatever. They've always said to me, our main job is to make sure you're happy. So if you're not happy, we're going to fix it. Me and my sister have the most supportive parents ever. Like, they're always like, if your mental health is not good, you tell us and we'll find ways to fix it. We'll do what we need to do. And they've always been so supportive. So it makes me sad when I see people on the internet who are like, oh, you know, I can't talk about it with anybody. You know, it's not safe for me to talk about. Like, I had a friend who, she was depressed, and she was like, I was like, well, why don't you tell your mom? And she was like, my mom doesn't believe in mental illness. And I was like,
my
what?
mom didn't either.
Yeah, she was like, my mom doesn't think mental illness is a thing. And I was like, oh. So I became a big support system for her because she said that her mom wouldn't listen to her. Like, she told her mom, she was like, Mom, I think I'm depressed. And her mom was like, you're fine. She was like, you're fine. You're going to be fine. You're not depressed. And she was like I am. So it always kind of makes me sad when I see that people can't talk about mental health. Like, how did you talk to your parents about it if your mom thought it wasn't, like, a thing?
Well, at first, I'm comfortable talking about this because I can.
Yeah.
My freshman year, I had an attempt.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first one.
Yeah.
The day of, it was a really bad snowstorm.
Yeah.
And my mom needed help shoveling.
Mm-hmm.
I was too depressed to go outside.
Yeah.
Because obviously that was the day of my attempts. You know,
yeah, there's days where I'm too depressed to get out of bed. Yeah.
And she made a comment.
Yeah, you were in that place.
I was in that place, and she made a comment, and I was just like, be careful.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, you should be helping me, and then left.
Yeah.
So, obviously to me, that was like,
you
know, okay, this is it.
That fueled the fire.
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, that fueled the fire.
And that day, 4 years later, is still really blurry to me.
Yeah.
But, you know, I haven't brought it up to my mom yet, but talking to her about it now, she's just like, you know, you can talk to me. I'm your support. You can always talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's how she is now. Before, she would say...
Well, she probably wants to make up for it.
Cause you know, I don't even know if she thinks about it.
Yeah, well, it almost sucks that sometimes the way that people become serious about mental health is when there's a suicide attempt. And that's when they're like, oh, this is legit. Like, this is real. That sucks. And thankfully, I never got to that point. I never attempted. I never got to the point I was passively suicidal for a long time, which is when you have the thought of, like, I want to die, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. That's flashing. Sorry, there's a thing that's flashing in front of me. I got distracted. But my thought, I have a blog on medium.com, shameless self-promo, medium.com/flaming_hearts, I think. That's my blog. but I wrote about it. I was talking about how my diagnosis is the best thing that ever happened to me. And I was saying that I had the thought of, I want to die, but I'm not going to hurt myself. I want to die, I'm not going to hurt myself. I want to die, I'm not going to hurt myself. And then, this was sophomore year, and then all of a sudden I had the thought of, but like, what if I did? And then that was like the turning point. That's when I like stepped back and I was like, this has gone too far. Because I wasn't suicidal the entire time I was depressed sophomore year, but I was suicidal for a good part of it. I had that thought and I was like, it had been a good 4 months that I was feeling I want to die, but I'm not going to hurt myself. And then I had that thought of, but what if I did? And I was like, I have to tell someone. So I went to my band director's office and I told him, and that's when I broke down in his office and we had that conversation. And it was crazy. And the whole next couple of months were a whirlwind because I was in a program and I had a change in friend group where I lost a lot of friends. And it was a weird time. But like, my parents took it seriously without an attempt, which I'm so lucky to have. Like, I mean, my mom's a guidance counselor, so it makes sense that she would be understanding of mental health. And there's a couple mental illness on my dad's side of the family, like anxiety runs on my dad's side of the family. But it was crazy. And, you know, it was just, I was lucky enough that I never got to the point where there was an attempt. And I was lucky enough that my parents took it seriously without, not needing, but without there being an attempt. They were like, all right, you're feeling this way, let's fix it. So I know a lot of people who say like, yeah, my parents took my mental illness seriously after I attempted.
And my attempt actually, because my mom, my dad, and my stepmom, they weren't getting along at the time.
Yeah.
So
which is tough for anyone.
It's sad how me almost not being here brought everybody together.
It's crazy. I've talked about this a couple of times with you. I think I told you about what happened. I lost a cousin to suicide in June, and I thought my family was gonna fall apart. I was like, this is it. I'm stereotypical Italian family. I'm very close with all my cousins, all my aunts, my uncles, and I was like, my family is going to fall apart. This is going to be the end of my family. And it was the exact opposite. It's crazy how something like that can bring your family together, because we spent the entire week at my aunt's house and it was crazy. That whole week is a blur. Prom is somewhere in the middle of there, which I went to with advice from my family. Because I didn't want to go. I was like, I'm not going to prom. I was like, I just had a tragedy. I'm not going to prom. It was the night of the wake. And I was like, I can't go to prom. And everybody was like, you're going to prom. Somehow, like, I find it crazy that they wanted me to go to prom. But not just that. When I was leaving for college, my aunt, my cousin's mom, had made me this big basket of toiletries. Like, she got me shampoo, conditioner, a hairbrush, hair tie, Q-tips, a new toothbrush, toothpaste, dry shampoo. Like, she got me all this stuff. And I literally, like, it was insane to me that she had been through such a tragedy and she still had the ability to be one of the best people I know. And I thought that was insane. And I got home that day, and I also had a haircut that day because my aunt's a hairdresser. And I had a haircut. And it was insane because she got me these 2 giant baskets of snacks, which I still haven't finished. There was so many snacks. This was like August. And there was so many snacks. There's snacks. I still haven't finished it. There's still big baskets of snacks in my door. But, you know, it really brought my family together, which is, it's sad that that's how we got even closer, but it means a lot to me that my family didn't fall apart, that we got closer and we started leaning on each other more. And, you know, any problems I had with my mom started going away because we were like, well, we've been through the worst. You know, like, we've been through a tragedy together. Like, life is short. We shouldn't be fighting. And now my mom and I are super close. I think, you know, we stopped butting heads when I not moved out, when I started school, because we're not breathing down each other's necks all the time. Yeah. And distance can be good. But it really brought my family together. And I still have days where I can't get out of bed because I'm so sad that I lost my cousin. But there's more days where I'm kind of like, you know, at least I had him. You know what I mean? At least I grew up having him and being able to talk to him about stuff. Like, he was, oh my God, he was the life of the party. He was the funniest. That's how I like to think about it, because he, like, when I was on my depression, he was cheering me up. Like, we were always talking. He was just such a great, like, he could make anyone happy, like, without even trying. He was just the best person ever. And, you know, that's how I think about it. I think about, well, I had really good moments with him. You know, at least I had that, you know what I mean? And that always was such a big deal to me, was that I had him for...
At least you have the good memories.
At least I have the good memories. At least they're not all just sad.
Because that's how I felt when I was a freshman, when everything was happening. I told you, my sister died.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was the worst thing of my absolute life.
Worst thing that ever happened to me was losing my cousin.
Ever happened. So, you know.
Yeah.
She was amazing. Mm-hmm. She was amazing. And before she died, we haven't spoken in a year. Because I was so resentful towards her for snitching on me on a post that I posted on Facebook to my father. Yeah. Little things like that you gotta let go, because you never know what
life is short. Life is really short.
And to this day, I regret it, because I regret not texting her back. The last text message she sent to me, I don't know if you're still there. I don't know if you're mad at me, but I'm always going to be here for you. And then that was it. Yeah. So, you know, that hit home. That hit me.
It can be hard.
But, you know.
It's really hard. Tragedy is hard. And I had never dealt with grief before. So I'm still going through it. I still have days.
4 years later, I'm still.
Yeah. This was, you know, it's October now. This was what, 4 months ago? So I still have days where I'm like, well, my life sucks. and then there's other days where I'm like, you know, I have a picture of him on my desk, and sometimes I get really sad and I miss him a lot. And other days I'm like, I realize, like, that he would want me to be happy, because he was the kind of person where, like, if he knew that I was, like, moping, and not moping, but I was grieving, and that there were days I didn't want to leave my bed because I was so depressed, he would be like, dude, what the are you doing? Get out of bed, live your life. What are you doing? And he was like that kind of person, where he was like, no, dude, like, go do something. Like, don't just sit in bed. Like, I hear his voice telling me, like, dude, do what you need to do, live your life, don't be upset because of me. And that was always a big thing for me. And so I have been making a conscious effort of living my life the way he would want me to live my life, which is to the fullest. Just be happy. Right. Be as happy as possible.
That's how
as much as you can.
My sister don't want me to do.
And when you're not happy, that's okay too. That's okay. But yeah, so I've found myself with my own dorm. I do a lot of self-care nights where once a week, I'll do my laundry. If I have laundry, I'll do my laundry. I will take a shower. Sometimes I'll touch up the color in my hair. My hair is currently red and black. And I watch a movie, because I found out that our library has a really good DVD collection.
Yes, they do.
Like, my sister's coming to visit tomorrow night, and I got the Rocky Horror Picture Show on DVD. We're gonna watch it. And our school does this really cool thing in the caf where you can get a whole pizza. You can, like, order a pizza. So I'm ordering a pizza, and we're gonna have a movie night, and we're gonna have pizza and movie. And I'm really excited. But a self-care thing that I've been doing, even if I'm doing homework during the movie, I have a movie night by myself once a week, and that's my self-care night. I do my laundry, I do my shower, I take a shower, I touch up my hair, and I watch a movie. And the first night, I've been doing that for the last couple weeks. The first movie was My Big Fat Greek Wedding, because
that is an amazing
I hadn't
movie.
seen it in a long time. And then the second one was the Skeleton Twins with Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader, because Bill Hader is a god. I love him. I have been a fan of him since he was on SNL, because he did Stefan. Did you ever watch SNL? Oh, you gotta watch it. He did this character called Stefan where he would talk about clubs in New York, and like he did it with Seth Meyers, and Seth Meyers would be like, "Now, Stefan, where's a good place for tourists to go in the fall?" And he'd be like, "New York's hottest club is Jelly Bowl." And it was like the weirdest shit ever. And I just thought it was funny, and I love Bill Hader, and he's in the new It movie. Like, the internet, has found like a new love for Bill Hader because he's in It, and everybody's just like, "Oh my god, I love Bill Hader." And I'm like, "I've been loving him since the beginning. I'm an OG. You leave." Like, but that was the second movie I watched, Skeleton Twins, because I just wanted to see something he was in. And then that was last week, and then last night was My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. It was the sequel.
I love it.
And I thought it was really, I had never seen it, so I was like, I'm just gonna watch it, and it was really cute.
I've had a day like that where I just stayed in my room.
Yeah.
I think it was a Friday, because I have no classes on Friday.
Yeah.
I watched Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, that's good.
That's an amazing movie.
I think I'm trying to think of what I want my next movie night to be.
Well, being that I'm going home right after this, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
I'm trying to think of what I want my next movie night to be.
Hopefully my sister goes into labor.
If Bill Hader's in it, that would be a plus. But yeah. Yeah. So mental health is interesting. And so many people don't want to talk about it. Like, that's why I wanted to do a podcast where we just talk about mental health and we're just honest.
Hey, we're mildly unstable.
Mildly unstable. Why? Hey. Yeah, but because there's such a stigma around it, and it's been getting better over the last few years, but I realized like a lot of people are kind of like, "Oh, we don't talk about mental health. Yeah. Like, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about mental illness." And
I'm
it's
actually doing a research paper on depression in adolescents.
Is it for Gunna one?
No, that one's bipolar disorder.
Oh yeah. We have the same intro to psych class. 8 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Oh my god, he's such an interesting human being. There have been days I've spent like hours in his office just bullshitting.
I still have yet to go to his office just to talk
He's
to him. Super
chill. If you do, he's gonna make you eat a bunch of mints. Like, that's what he did to me. I don't know why. He gave me gum. It was weird. He's a cool dude though. Yeah, but we have to do a review paper where we like review a bunch of articles and we talk about a topic, and mine is music therapy and the benefits of it, because I'm a musician. I did a marching band all 4 years of high school, and I was talking about how music is beneficial to mental health and overall well-being. But in my comp and rec class, composition and rhetoric, we have to write a research paper, and I'm doing mine on the effects of bullying in adolescents, of bullying in children and teens.
Yeah, I changed my topic for that class. At first, I was doing same-sex marriages.
Oh, okay.
And I couldn't find on it. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
This. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was doing a paper. I'm doing a paper about that, and it's interesting to see. Apparently, music therapy is really good, which is not surprising because when I'm stressed, I listen to music. Mm-hmm. And I know somebody who is a music therapist. Her name's Julia. She actually taught me saxophone, which is pretty cool. Or like, she was like my saxophone teacher. She taught me guitar too, which I don't.
I miss playing instruments.
I used to play guitar. I'm trash at it now because I don't remember it. I didn't like it. I was surprised. I didn't like it that much. I liked saxophone a lot though. So she was my saxophone teacher. Also one of my mom's students, which is really funny. Because my mom used to be a professor. Yeah, but we're friends on Facebook. And I told her, I was like, "Hey, I'm doing a report on the effects of music therapy." And she messaged me back. She was like, "I have articles." And she sent me like 4 links. And I was like, "You're the coolest." Like, I found my articles because of her. She sent me a website that had like a bunch of articles. And that's how I found my website. What is that dance you're doing? What are you doing? Is that the I'm reading a text dance? Yeah. Well, we're almost done. We have about 10 minutes left. Yeah. But we got off topic. Social media, mental health. A lot of people talk about it more on social media than I think they used to. Mm-hmm. Like, today is October 10th.
Yeah.
And it was World Mental Health Day. And I saw a lot of people, I think it was today or yesterday, I don't know. There were people posting about it. It might have been today or yesterday. I don't remember. But I always thought it was really cool because it's a day to like talk about mental health. Yeah. And it's like, that's really awesome. And like, there's a month that's like Mental Health Awareness Month or something like that.
I think it's this month.
Is it this month?
It's this month.
And September Suicide Prevention Month and stuff like that. So yeah, like I feel like the stigma around mental health is definitely getting better.
Glad people are taking it seriously.
It's improving because I definitely think I think like deaths of like stars like Robin Williams, Philip Seymour Hoffman, I think Chester Bennington. That was one that hit me hard because I always liked Linkin Park. I think it brought up a conversation. I think it definitely, especially when Robin Williams died, because he was like the funniest human being alive. He was hilarious. And the fact that he was depressed, like I think a lot of people were like, maybe we need to talk about this more, because if this guy who was making everybody else laugh and was the funniest human ever was so depressed that he ended his life, then this is a conversation that we need to have. And I think it opened a lot of eyes, especially when he died, because it really kind of awoke like,
also,
this is a thing.
Kate Spade.
Yeah, and
that
her dad even said he was like, oh, I texted her the night before, and she was like getting ready for thing, and he said like, oh, you've had a lot of success, and he said then I didn't get a text back, and the next day she was dead. And it's crazy. It's so sad because it almost makes me wish that the conversation started other ways, because I feel like the conversation did start a lot after Robin Williams died, and I wish that, you know, there was more openness about it before that, because maybe he would have talked about it. Maybe he would have felt comfortable talking about it. You never know. Maybe he would have felt like it was a conversation he could have. You know what I mean? That might have changed the outcome. Which sucks. But it shows itself in social media a lot, because, you know, you see people posting stuff like I'm following a page on Facebook. It's like a mental health support page, and it just posts like positive stuff. Trevor's out of the studio again. Trevor's going somewhere.
What is he doing?
Trevor's just walking all around during his radio show. That's funny because I had a song yesterday, when I have a radio show on Wednesday mornings, like I said, where I played Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin because it's like 9 minutes long and I really had to pee. So I played it and I was like, all right, we'll be right back. And I was like, I'm going to go pee. So I played that. Yeah, but totally got off track. It's crazy how mental health can show itself in social media, because I'm following a support page and they post like positive stuff. Like, there was this one that recently said, your anxiety is lying to you. You're loved. You are enough. Like, you're not worthless. You have purpose and stuff like that. And just seeing little stuff like that, especially on a bad day, is nice. And it's very helpful. And it's nice that a lot of people on social media talk about mental health, because it's a thing that people experience. Like, mental illness is no joke. And it's a thing that people go through. You know what I mean? So when they talk about it on social media, I think that's good, because it starts a conversation. You know? Yeah. Do you ever talk about social health, mental health on social media, or is it like, can you not talk about it on social media? Like, I've posted on Instagram a couple times, like, well, today's shit, but it's fine, and stuff like that.
When I'm insanely angry, and I know I can't talk about it to my family.
Is it Snapchat?
It's Snapchat.
I've seen a couple of your Snapchat stories when you're upset.
Angry.
I mean, everybody gets angry.
When I'm like sad or anything like that, I kind of just keep it to myself.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I know a lot of people who are like, I don't want to talk to other people when I'm sad. And it's like, well, you know.
It's like I'm a whole different person. Like the person I am now. I'm sitting here now. Right? This is the I am usually.
Yeah.
I am usually. But it's like, other than that.
Yeah. But, yeah, I know a lot of people who don't want to talk about it when they're sad. Like, they want to wait until they're feeling better and then talk about how they were feeling when they were sad.
Because I hate when I'm on verge of tears and someone says, "Are you okay?"
That just makes me cry.
That just starts.
That happens to me all the time. Where, like, I'll be really upset and somebody, like, I'll be grieving or something and somebody will be like, "Are you okay?" And then I'll just start crying and I'll be like, "No, I'm lonely." Like, something like that. Yeah, but we're running out of time here.
Pretty much.
55. Wow, we talked for almost an hour. That was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Yeah, so thank you for listening to Mildly Unstable. This is our first episode, and there will definitely be more of these.
Definitely.
I don't know if we'll do it every week. Maybe every other week.
Every other week.
That would be cool. We're on a radio show called Get Psyched.
Yeah.
Or we were on Monday, and they do that every other week. And that gave me the idea of, like, I'm going to do a podcast. I've always wanted to do a podcast, but I thought this was cool. Trevor B. Powers, man. I can hear him. I think the mic's picking him up, too. I think in the background you just hear him like, yeah, rock and roll. Like, yeah, but we're going to sign off. And, yeah, thanks for listening to Mildly Unstable. And we will be back soon.
Are out of here.
We are out.